STEM is the abbreviation of science, technology, engineering, and math. The modern STEM education has become popular in developed countries such as the United States and European nations. The four disciplines are integrated and educated based on practical experiments, resulting in products highly applicable in real life. In Vietnam, STEM education remains novel and limited due to its high requirements of creative interdisciplinary teaching together with modern equipment to carry out STEM projects. According to Vietnam's Ministry of Science and Technology, STEM education plays an important role in developing a high-quality research workforce. The government branch is working with the Ministry of Education and Training, universities and businesses in Vietnam to strengthen STEM training at school, thus boosting startups and innovations for socio-economic development. Hello and welcome to Sharing Vietnam. Science, technology, engineering and mathematics or STEM education is a vital element for the innovation and development of Vietnam and other countries in the modern world. In our program today, we'll get to know about STEM education in Vietnam, particularly the industry-academic collaboration. Our guest today is Dr. David Benson, Senior Lecturer at Arizona State University. Hello, David. Thank you very much for joining us today.
It's my pleasure.
First of all, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your work in Vietnam?
My name is Dr. David Benson. I'm the Senior Lecturer in the Ira A. Fulton Schools of Engineering at Arizona State University. At Arizona State University, I work primarily with first-year students in the Introduction to Engineering program, but I'm also the Academic Director for the HEAP program. So for the past 4 years, I have worked with about 200 Vietnamese faculty members in workshops at Arizona State University on things like active learning and outcomes-based education. And then I've done workshops in Vietnam, about 7 or 8 workshops with about 500 participants in all over Vietnam, short workshops on active learning for faculty members.
How do you describe the significance of STEM education and workforce for the development of countries in the modern world?
Well, I think that STEM plays a big role in any country, whether it's considered developing or not. STEM is inspiring for undergraduates. STEM allows students to take the science that they've learned and put it into practice. So for students to be able to have careers, especially in the engineering and science field, STEM is critically important. I know over the past few years that Vietnam has grown immensely in that area with companies like Intel and On Semiconductor and others bringing in industry to here. So I think STEM plays a very big role in Vietnam.
You have been working with a number of universities in Vietnam for several years now. What do you think of the progress of STEM education in Vietnam?
Well, I think the progress has been incredible. It's been great to come back and have faculty members come to Arizona State University for a 5-week workshop, come back and take those things that inspired them and put them into their classrooms. I see right now students that are inspired in class. I see students that are engaged. One of my favorite classrooms that I visited a little while ago, the faculty member was doing a whole bunch of projects with students, and he started them off with lectures that motivated the subject and said, okay, get into your teams and work on this project. And he handed out the instructions for the project, and right away the classroom shifted from focusing forward to focusing into their teams. The students were engaged, talking with each other. They were on task. They were excited. In any classroom, that's exactly what a teacher wants to see. So I have seen incredible progress with the faculty members from the HEAP program.
On the other hand, what do you think of the challenges of STEM education here?
Well, I know that many of my faculty members that I've worked with struggle with classrooms that are very crowded or equipment like the tables and other facilities that make it very difficult to work in teams. Those are things that come with incremental changes. Like I mentioned in that story about my colleague, with the resources that he had, he was able to do what he needed to be able to get students to work together and to grow. So I think that Vietnam and many of the universities know what they need to change and have made good progress towards that. For example, several universities in Vietnam have put together digital learning studios with the help of ASU. So now we have the possibility of actually working with teams of students from Vietnam and Arizona to work on projects together through distance learning. So I think we're growing in immense ways.
The 5th Vietnam Science, Technology, Engineering and Math Conference, or STEMCon 2017, took place in Hanoi early this month. This year's event is themed Advancing the Future of Vietnam, inspiring students, makers, educators and entrepreneurs to innovate. STEMCon 2017 drew the participation of representatives from Vietnamese government agencies, universities and domestic as well as international technology companies such as FPT, Amazon, Microsoft and Honeywell. An important topic of discussion at the event was the development of a skilled STEM workforce through government, academic and industry collaboration.
Hiện nay thì cái việc mà kết hợp giữa doanh nghiệp và nhà trường hiện nay cũng đã có những cái bước tiến đáng kể so với độ khoảng 10 năm trước đây. Tuy nhiên là cái việc đấy nó cũng đang được tiến hành một cách chưa rõ ràng. Một trong những cái rào cản mà lớn nhất trong cái việc kết nối giữa doanh nghiệp và nhà trường chính là các cái tiêu chuẩn khoa học kỹ thuật mà các doanh nghiệp thì đang dùng ở cái tầm rất là cao, tức là vì các doanh nghiệp là hội nhập trước, cho nên là sản phẩm và thiết bị rồi dịch vụ của các doanh nghiệp là được cập nhật theo tiêu chuẩn, chúng ta cứ tạm gọi là tiêu chuẩn của Hoa Kỳ đi. Thế còn ở các trường đại học của chúng ta thì nhiều trường vẫn còn đang lẹt đẹt, vẫn còn đang dạy những cái kiến thức theo cái tiêu chuẩn khoa học công nghệ của Liên Xô cũ.
Speaking at the conference, a senior official of Vietnam's Ministry of Science and Technology said the country will soon run out of natural resources and cheap labor as its advantages. Vietnam can only develop sustainably by fostering scientific and technological research, thus raising the intellectual value of its products. The Vietnamese government is seeking to strengthen research by mobilizing private resources, encouraging businesses to spend a significant part of their pre-tax income on scientific and technological investment, combining corporate finance with academic research personnel.
Cái việc kết hợp chặt chẽ giữa đào tạo, giữa các cái hoạt động nghiên cứu ở trường đối với doanh nghiệp thì nó thứ nhất là nó làm cho cái việc đào tạo của mình nó trở nên thiết thực hơn. Thứ hai là nó mở nhiều cơ hội cho sinh viên và những người đào tạo có việc làm. Cái thứ ba là bản thân chúng tôi cũng nhận được nhiều nguồn lực từ các cái doanh nghiệp để phát triển.
STEMCon 2017 is one of the activities implemented by the Higher Engineering Education Alliance program known as HEAP. The program was co-founded by the U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID, and Intel Corporation in 2010 in collaboration with Arizona State University. HEAP's partners include Vietnam's Ministry of Education and Training, the high-tech park of Ho Chi Minh City, and international companies including Siemens, Danaher, Cadence, National Instruments, and Pearson. The program is aimed to produce a high-quality workforce for advanced industries in Vietnam. You have just attended the 2017 STEMCon in Hanoi. How do you describe the value of this conference for the development of STEM education in Vietnam?
That's where people get ideas, can join partnerships and collaborate, and it's the work that happens at the breaks, at the coffee, that allows for us to form new collaborations. The second half of the STEMCon is involved with the technical sessions. And this is where faculty members, primarily from the HEAP universities, but also open to all faculty members in Vietnam, are able to share what they've done in their classrooms, to explore new methods, and to develop collaborations. I consider this like cross-pollination, where by sitting in a workshop or a presentation from a colleague, and you see something on IoT and a makerspace that they did, that gives somebody inspiration to talk to them, to develop that on their own and take that to other universities.
In your opinion, what are some solutions to boost the industry-academic collaboration for STEM education in Vietnam?
I will say from the classroom perspective, Industry involvement in sponsoring competitions, sponsoring problem-based learning activities. One of the challenges when you want to do very hands-on learning is that it requires supplies. So industry has really come forward and helped out a lot with providing robotics kits or software that the students can use in the classrooms, so that facilitates their doing of the projects. Because in those projects, they're thinking at a very high level. They're evaluating, they're creating, they're doing a lot of this upper level, higher order thinking that is essential for them to develop as engineers.
Could you share some experience of the United States in the industry academic collaboration for STEM education?
In the United States, I think the biggest involvement in the classroom is in the capstone projects, where industry partners with groups of students in their final years to do practical projects that are important to industry. So they're sponsored projects. There are other situations like EPICS, which is engineering projects in community service, where industry will sponsor community service projects that go out into the nearby communities to improve things for the local population. So both of those are great spots. But again, at Arizona State University, for example, we have an entire new dorm for engineers that is being built. And within that dorm are going to be facilities for them to do experimentation. So they'll go to classes and then they'll go home. And in the dorms, they'll have access to equipment and other facilities that allow them to continue that process so that they're always thinking as engineers.
What do you think of the cooperation between the United States and Vietnam in STEM education so far?
I think we're always looking for opportunities to collaborate. And from my perspective, I'm looking for very low impact, low cost ways. For example, some colleagues at IUH down in Ho Chi Minh City, they worked with my first year students to play a role of, they would be the client and my students would be the engineers. And so my students had that opportunity to see about Vietnam and to learn about a culture that they're not familiar with. And then we reversed the process. My students became the clients for them as engineers. And so one of the challenges is that many people know about America from television. And in television, houses are not the same size as what they see on TV. And so that was an opportunity for the Vietnamese students to have their conceptions or misconceptions about America be changed as well. So that's one way that just through YouTube videos, we were able to use a very low-cost approach, but my students developed cultural intelligence skills that will help them be global engineers. And the Vietnamese students also developed those skills as well.
And finally, could you share with us some information on HEAP projects in Vietnam in the coming years?
Well, I think we'll see many more problem-based learning activities, so classes that are being transformed from lecture-based and fact-oriented to problem definition, where the students have to go through the entire design process from the beginning, where there is no right answer, but they will develop along the way the engineering skills, but also those professional skills, how to give presentations, how to use your hands and talk with emotion rather than standing still. The students are going to be able to practice these professional skills along with their engineering skills to grow immensely. So I think we'll see a lot of those problem-based learning classes coming into play all throughout the HEAP universities in the partnership.
Well, David, once again, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing valuable insights.
Thank you. It's been a great pleasure working in Vietnam for the past 4 years.
Well, that's all of our program today. Hopefully, the industry academic collaboration will be further strengthened with the support from international partners in order to improve STEM education in Vietnam. Thank you so much for watching and see you again next time.